you have to match their taxes as an employer. So if I pay 7 employees 20 hours a week, and they paid, say each employee paid $180 in taxes, I as an employer have to match $180 taxes. It gets ridiculous. It gets to the point where you're like, why am I even doing business? It just...
I want to be like Office Space, the movie, and be like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to pay any taxes anymore.
That's what's great about
But what about your job? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to show up for that anymore either.
But that's what's the number one...
I'm not going to pay any bills.
All right, so we're going live here. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Me and Dell here are once again in the Weirman Media Studios here.
We're already jacked up this morning.
Hella jacked up. What else? What other way to be? What other way to be in life than fucking lit? You gotta be fucking lit. I mean, if you're not excited and lit on life, fuck, it makes it not that fun. I love having excitement, energy, and fucking passion. And that's one thing Dell has shit tons of.
Yeah.
So,
too much.
We're gonna be talking today. No, there's no such thing as too much passion.
Really? You think so?
I don't
well,
think
thank
so.
you.
So we're going to be talking today about our top 5 favorite athletes. Ultimately, top 10 with us both. We might sprinkle in maybe an extra one, maybe. But a top 5 favorite athletes for me and Dell, and we're going to be talking about the correlations they have, the characteristics they have, as far as why we like them so much.
Right.
And then we're going to have some banter back and forth on a couple of them that we know kind of contradict each other, because he has one on his list that I have one on my list that kind of like go head to head. Not like the Michael Jordan LeBron debate. We won't do that today, but we will have the Tyson Ali debate. So ultimately, I'm going to let you lead in.
You're giving
a little intro on yourself, and then
you're giving me the power.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. With your number one, give him your number one favorite athlete.
I feel like China right now. Anyway, all time overall. Of all sports.
His all-time favorite athlete of all sports. He's going to go with
Muhammad Ali.
God, that's really hard to argue.
Muhammad Ali.
But let's lean into
otherwise known as Cassius Clay.
Cassius. Which, R.I.P., we'll give you some respect, R.I.P. Ali. But I am going to come forward. You know me, I'm a debater. So I'm going to come forward with the whole Tyson talk. Because my number one on my list is Tiger Woods, but I'm going to start with my number 3, which is Tyson. Because I think Tyson, to me, was an example of like just unstoppable force, like completely unstoppable. I don't think in his prime anyone could have stopped Tyson. Yes, he fell off quick when he fell off, but ultimately when he was on his run, when he knocked everyone out in the first round for however many fights it was, like 13, 16, what was it? Something ridiculous. He, I believe, Tyson, I believe, puts down Ali with his uppercut or hook.
Being patient right now. I'm being patient because I want to just absolutely blast you.
Go ahead.
No, listen. Again, it comes back to 2 different eras of boxing. Okay, back when Muhammad Ali was fighting, yes, there was some powerful punchers. You had your Foremans come in. You had your Frazier.
He was never hit by a Tyson punch.
But, exactly, it was different. When Tyson was fighting, they didn't dance around the ring. If you go back and you look at Tyson and fighting, they were always in each other's chest and grappling and holding on to each other. And, I mean, most of the Tyson punches that was coming off were uppercuts when he was in the clinch.
Boom!
Okay, Muhammad would have danced. Would Tyson be able to have kept up with it and kept his stamina? I don't know about that. Buster Douglas showed how Tyson...
That was his last fight. You're
got
right.
tired.
That was his last fight of his career.
Who?
I'm saying that's when his fall came. You're naming the fight when Tyson's fall began.
But what I'm saying is it was a different fight. We're talking about 2 different styles. Who knows what really would have happened? That'd be like LeBron and Michael in the situation of who's the best of all time, who's the GOAT.
But let's play it out in our heads. Tyson gets in the ring. Ali gets in the ring. Tyson walks up and hits him with his right uppercut. He is going down.
If he could catch him.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, though.
If he can catch Muhammad Ali.
That's the picture I'm painting, though. That's the picture I'm painting. You're right. If he could catch him. But my picture I'm painting is just picture it. They get in the ring. He walks him down, he catches him, and hits him with the right. He is going down. There's no way anyone survives Tyson's right in his prime. There's just no way.
God, I wish we could somehow do that where like literally have that happen just to see what would have happened.
Both of them in their prime.
Oh my Lord, that would. You know how much money would be made?
That would make Mayweather and McGregor look like a joke.
I mean, literally, there would be trillions made off that fight.
That would be epic. There has to be.
It would be able to pay for the war on drugs.
Tyson Ali solves the problem
of the war on drugs.
No, but I think that's interesting. But the characteristics of Tyson that I loved is just his talent and hard work. But it is sad when you look at how far he fell from the top. Like it's pretty sad stuff. But Ali, you're right. I can see why you would have Ali as number one. That's really hard to.
And Ali was just as controversial as what Tyson was. It was just in different areas, but. Not going to the Vietnam War, refusing that, being part of the Islamic nation and the issues with Farrakhan and everything, and Muhammad and everything like that, Elijah Muhammad. So he played his role in his own little controversies that he had.
I loved it.
But he was a humanitarian. He was a human. He was humanistic.
Yeah,
he was not someone. He had love for people. He was so intelligent.
But he was a showman, and he was amazing.
Charismatic. You're absolutely right.
He was amazing, though. I agree. He had everything. Because what you just said he had, but then also at the same time, if you got in the ring with him and you fucking you had your hands full, and he would whoop your ass. So
Tyson was a straight up rabid Wolverine.
He was.
He was a honey badger.
In his fucking build, he was like, come on, Tyson's build in his prime.
I was watching it this last week, and throughout all his knockouts, starting from his first knockout all the way through, and literally there was like 5 of them where you could literally see in the face of his opponent of, I need to get the fuck out of here.
And there are some of them that I would agree that were almost like just nobodies. But...
Well, they were literally, you could see it in their face, like, what am I doing in this ring?
Yeah, like most people, everyone always says that. That's what they say, Dell. They go, oh, he didn't fight anyone in a little stretch. Well, who the fuck's going to get in the ring with Tyson?
Oh, man.
It makes sense if you think about it, because who the fuck's going to step in and be like, oh, put me in the ring with that guy?
I was saying that to my buddy Aaron, who I was with last weekend, and I'm like, would you like to be punched by Tyson? He's like, oh, hell no.
It's probably the last person I'd want to ever get punched by.
I wouldn't want to get punched by him now.
No, and he's older. But I saw a comment come in from Barry Sanders. I didn't have him on my list, but thanks for that input.
Talk about a guy who was on a horrible team and still was. He's a Hall of Famer, and would run for 1,000 yards every season, and then knowing that the team is not investing in him to get him a championship, what does he do? He retires early to keep his health. I applaud him. Good for you. The only thing I'm mad about is the year you got drafted, Barry, the Packers took Tony Mandrich. Left tackle. He was a steroid powder puff. We could have had Barry Sanders that year. Just think of Barry Sanders and Brett Favre together.
All right, so
with Sterling Sharp.
Here's the point I'm going to make, is that how sports, the thing I love so much about, I find it really interesting when I meet guys that love sports like me, is if they haven't gotten into their own business yet, it's really interesting because I have loved sports my whole life, and the older I get, the more I get involved in my own business venture. It's incredibly, incredibly similar. There is so much similarities between business and sport.
Right.
And there's no faking or flaking it. The thing I love about it is just that. In sports, once you're on the field, once you're in the ring, once you're in the arena, and the lights are on and it's time to play, you can't fake be good at a sport. You can't fake it. You have to be good. Like, you can't be a third, like, you just have to be good. So, like, once you're in that arena, I find a lot of similarities between the business arena and the sports because it's like you have competitors in business, you're in a sector like you would be whatever business sector, and then you have to compete with your fellow businesses in that sector, and it's just a lot alike. And then you start to have to condition yourself and practice things to be good at it. And I find a lot of similarities between, for me, like going to the gym and then like prepping to be a good business owner.
Well, and you got to keep yourself in shape, with the athletes. You got to be ready because you got new rookies and young pups coming up into the job that you're doing, and so you've got to stay on top. And it's the same way with business.
Exactly.
You're out there, you've got your business started. Guess what? You're going to have an upstart come behind you that even has a better idea. That's going to want to come in and take your people, your customers, your everything like that. So it's like, all right, so I'm going to have to learn to change and come up with a different philosophy with it to keep myself fresh. And that's the same way with athletes, same way with business.
That's so true, Del. You just hit it out of the park. That's exactly what the book talks about when you read about the founder's mentality. The founder's mentality is the concept that new companies that are insurgents in the area, so versus like being a rigid bureaucracy or an incubant, someone that's been around for a long time, you have the new businesses or the new, like the rookies of sports, of the rookies of business, and they're the insurgents. They're the guys that are able to feed special niche markets and like do special things and meet the demands of the consumer. And you're right, that's 100% a great comparison. Being a rookie in the NFL or in a sports league keeps the veterans having to stay on top of their game. That's exactly right with business. It's so true. So that's why I find a lot of similarities, and I love the process of being in business too. So, but ultimately, I just wanted to make that correlation. And number 2, my favorite athlete of all time, one of my top 5 favorite athletes of all time, Wayne Gretzky. It's hard to debate that.
The great one. The great one.
I mean, it is interesting when you watch the film on him, and you see it seems like he's playing with people that it just seems like he's playing. He should have been playing now, and he played back then, and it seemed like he was just like playing a beat.
It was like if Mike Tyson was fighting an infant.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's literally.
He was a man amongst boys,
and he literally was scoring like it was. He was literally scoring like it was
over 100 goals. He has, to this day, still has the record for goals in a season. The guy was just phenomenal. I mean, you put the puck, on a stick, and good luck. It was, you give him any open space whatsoever to get to that net and put a shot on net. Good luck.
And this is the other thing I like to correlate to business with sports, is the hard work. If you look at all these people, if you look at them, they all have talent. They all had hard work. I guarantee the sacrifice, the discipline. Like, they're all these guys. There's no way you end up being a Barry Bonds, a LeBron James, a Tiger Woods, a Wayne Gretzky, a Muhammad Ali. You don't get there without hard work, discipline, and sacrifice. It just doesn't happen.
Correct.
None of these guys.
Correct.
None of them get to where they are without that.
Correct.
Period. So, like, it's really interesting when you start to look at that, and we've talked about this before on the show, is how if you want to do great things, a lot of times people, you see them fantasizing about these people. They watch highlights, videos on them. They watch their they are somewhat infatuated with these individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing they're infatuated with is the greatness and being different and being an outlier. So how do you do that? It's just so interesting.
Make a legacy.
Make a legacy. It's not easy, but you think about it. Look at their path. It's how you do it. You fucking work your ass off. You're disciplined, and you condition yourself. You have to, day after day, condition. It's like that with anything. You have to condition yourself no matter what arena you're in. Whether it's the arena of business, whether it's the arena of speaking at public events, which we're about to start, I want to start doing, but they're online now. But speaking, no matter what arena you're in, Del, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you're in the arena of fucking styling hair, or of making shoes, of making medical devices, whatever arena you're in.
So what? Be an icon in that.
Yeah, be the best at it. Be the best at it, period. And then work your tail off. You're gonna see that the climb, and you're gonna start to see it pay off. Like, it works, no matter what you're doing.
Well, that's a great lead into my next favorite.
All right, what's your next favorite? Del Bacon!
Well, I am a Packer fan. So a lot of people are going to give me a lot of hard, time about this.
Fucking Packers.
Because call me a homer.
He's a meat packer.
But let's look at this.
He likes to pack meat.
Let's look at Aaron Rodgers. I just want to throw him out there. Here's a guy who was told he was going to be the first-round draft pick. He drops all the way down to whatever it was, 24th. Nobody wanted him. He was supposed to be a problem child. Has an attitude. Gets drafted by the Packers, and he used that as a fire for him.
He killed it.
He's
motivation.
And then what does he do? He has to go to Green Bay and play behind the great one, Brett Favre. And has to come in with all that pressure replacing him.
Totally, and he slayed it.
And he did. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who, the pressure had to be immense to be able to do what he's done. And has he
be the best?
Has he won enough Super Bowls? No. In my opinion, he should have more than what he has. But again, that comes on Green Bay's front office and not really giving them a defense or receivers.
Which is exactly another great point I want to lean into right here. I think you're making great points. He's talking about motivation. He was talking about how Aaron Rodgers literally, he found the motivation through all the... So, like, it's about how we use, no matter what it is in life, what the event is, what it is, you can use it as motivation. Like, when my mom died, I used it not as a deterrent, but a propellant. You, no matter what situation you're in life, can use stuff as deterrents or propellants. Aaron Rodgers used that as a propellant to motivate him, to give him a chip on his shoulder, to give him that desire, the passion, and the will to work his ass off. And you're right, dude. He's fucking slayed it. Aaron Rodgers is probably one of the best in the league, if not ever, to play the position. But the argument I want to make, and have you lean in on too as well, is the argument in football that, yes, that's a team measurement. So, like, you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers, is probably one of the best quarterbacks ever. But the reason he doesn't have more Super Bowl rings is because of the people around him.
Right. So, and that's where I wanted to go with it, actually. You're leading right into my next thought on it, is that he's a game changer. We talk about business and being a game changer.
It's a great example, though, of how no matter how good you are, you have to have...
He goes up against whatever obstacle it is, and he can win games for Green Bay
single-handedly.
By himself.
He does it all the time.
He does it. He has done it so many times.
Almost every week.
So are you going to be that game changer to go up against obstacles in your life, business, whatever it is, and be that game changer and still have success and succeed in that?
But I love the example that you're making because it leads into that, how you can be the Aaron Rodgers. He's great. How can you be better? But then without the right pieces around you, you can't flourish.
No, you got to make sure you have people around you that are going to support and feed into your own strengths. You don't need people around that is going to support your weaknesses. You want people that are going to help motivate you to use your strengths to succeed and move forward in life. That's what I do every day. I've been fortunate enough to find people like that, especially you, JR, Isaac.
Yeah. And you're the same way with us, exactly.
Right, to where I'm able to be motivated and pushed forward and challenged.
Exactly.
To move forward and do the right things.
So I think it's a great point that Dell's making, is that he talks about how you can be the, number one, trying to be the game changer, try to be the one that shows up every day, that is that person, that has that motivation, that does have that. You can start that day one, today. It doesn't matter. You can start now. And also number two, then realizing what he just said is that there's no kind of ego that will keep, like, ego is the number one thing that will keep you from having success and being able to surround yourself with people. Like if there's nothing wrong with having to have people around you to build you up. Like, what's the issue with that? Like, Aaron Rodgers is a great example. Like, if he would have just had the right people, he'd have probably 5x rings. If he had if he had the right offensive line, the right wide receiver here and there, and the right defense here and there, he'd be better than, I mean, let's face it, he's more talented probably than Brady. So, but Brady has more rings, so that says everything. Like,
the stats say that Aaron Rodgers is better than Brady, but
and let's face it, you look at it,
but that's just stats.
So that's what we
measure by successes, by Super Bowl rings.
That's
and
what I'm leaning into. Tom
Brady has that.
He's my next athlete. That's what I'm leaning into. So Brady is, to me, if I had to pick it, probably my all-time favorite athlete. It's, besides Tyson, I would say Brady. Brady is up there because, to me, he's the primary example of everything that we just talked about. He has just been blessed to have the ability to be the game changer, and then to also have the team around him and the best coach and the ability to succeed. And I think the number one thing that's interesting the most about the Patriots is their lack of ego. They can do it with anyone. Look, they can take someone off the street and turn them into a wide receiver. They can do it with anyone. They just need Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and then they have the ability to win on a consistent basis. And they're willing to do it any kind of way. They will throw 5-yard screens and dink and dunk down the field. They don't need to run big, fancy, high-end plays. They just do whatever it takes to win. Whatever the defense gives them, they do what it takes to win. They don't care how it looks. And I think that's admirable, considering that they win so much. And they are so great, and they're the best, arguably the best dynasty now. It's going on that verge ever.
Yeah, I mean, you look back to the Cowboys and the 49ers back in the day with Montana and Aikman, those dynasties and stuff. Yeah, they're definitely up there with those, if not the best.
Yes, and then start to look into what are the reasons. Like, I like to observe that and be like, okay, what are the characteristics that make it do that?
Right, right. And you look at those other teams; they were like all-star teams, while New England just keeps plugging guys in, and they'll take a player that for years has done nothing and bring them into New England, and all of a sudden they're superstars. Dallas and San Francisco didn't do that. They had superstars.
A ton of them.
A ton of them. Okay, while New England seems to pick people up off the streets, the leftovers that other teams don't want, and bring them in and just plug them on in, and they buy into Belichick's
And Brady.
idea and Brady and what they're doing, and next thing you know, they're winning another Super Bowl ring.
What is it, 6?
6 of them, and I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of the Patriots.
6!
If you can't tell my disdain for them and Brady,
I can tell it kind of washed down your Rodgers excitement.
well,
Sorry,
it's fine. I get it, and it's amazing what they've done. But I even if it's not, it doesn't have to be the Packers for me. But I want something different.
No, I can understand, which is kind of exciting. What makes this year exciting is that it is going to be different.
True, it is going to be an interesting thing with Gronk and him down in Tampa Bay, and they brought in Shady McCoy now, so they got another good running back. And who's the Mike Evans, the wide receiver over there,
And Marquise, what is it, Marquise Goodwin or Marquise Goodwin?
Goodwin, and then they got O.J. Howard, the other tight end. So
if you add O.J. Howard with Gronk and Marquise,
the Buccaneers are going to be interesting, and they're sporting those old school 2000 uniforms again, the grays. They're fucking just killer.
But here's my one point, Del. I want to ask you and bounce off you. If a team like them is doing that, and they're having so much success, why in the fuck aren't other teams looking at them and being like, yo? Because what I do in business is I watch Gary Vaynerchuk. I watch him, and I'm emulating a lot of what he does. And we're having a lot of success here. And I just opened it. So, like, if I went into football, I would look at Bill Belichick and the Patriots and be like, okay, they're the best. I would be humble and open-minded to that. And I'd be like, okay, now I'm going to implement some of that stuff in my corporation business. Why in the hell aren't other coaches operating more? Like, what are they doing? So, I truly think it's lack of ego that's their number one thing. That is why they're successful. And hear me out on that.
Yeah.
I think that gives them the ability to do anything and everything to win. And when you remove ego from a team of people, they are all just operating in a humble, open-minded, flexible, agile fashion. And then when you come together and you're all working together and building each other up, like we talk about having our individual strengths, then we can do whatever it takes to win. Like, if we don't care. Like, we don't have like, if you look at Mike DiFilippo, the offensive coordinator for the Vikings the other year, he had an ego in the way. There was something going on there where he wanted to call certain plays, and Zimmer didn't want him to. So think about that. You have all these. Imagine a football team with a bunch of egos. You have an offensive coordinator that thinks he has to call these plays, and he has all the answers. So ego to me is a really interesting point. I really think the Patriots have the most unity and the most flexible operation that allows them to win anyway. That's, to me, what I see.
Well, and with the Patriots, it's about team. It's not about one player. You don't
Which
see.
correlates with ego.
Well, yeah, you don't see Belichick bringing in usually flashy players.
Well, and he does. When you do, they don't fucking flash.
They either
Look at us.
They either go and conform to what Belichick wants, or they're gone.
Or they're gone.
So we're looking at that situation now with Cam Newton, bringing Cam Newton into New England, and look at the deal they got for him. And that's the other thing Belichick is so good at, is bringing in players and bringing it in on an affordable contract.
So I think he's the ultimate businessman, let's face it. He's economical. Everything he does with the Patriots is business-like. What you just talked about is economics of football. He doesn't fucking spend $30 million on a player.
Or like Mahomes with Kansas City.
Come on.
Jesus Christ.
No matter how good you are, dude, that's not worth it.
That money, a 10-year contract. Oh,
it doesn't matter how good you are. That contradicts everything about a sport of a team.
Well, what happens if he breaks his leg next year and he's out for the rest of his career?
And at the same time, it just drives ego. Because look at, if we're giving one guy, if we have a whole team, everyone's showing up and they're busting their tail, working their asses off, sweating, the offensive linemen, defensive linemen are the least appreciated.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everyone comes in like, oh, Mahomes is getting $35 million.
Well, yeah,
million.
Mahomes. You think
he's
he's Mahomes without his offensive line, without Tyreek Hill catching the ball? I mean, come on, people.
That's what I'm saying.
Without the coaches making the plays and calling it, and Andy Reid doing what he needs to do with it. Yeah.
I just agree with you 100%, though. That it's all. That's what I love about Belichick. He's so economical.
Ridiculous how much money he got.
It's ridiculous. There's no one that should get that much money. And I agree with. I'm in love with what the Patriots do. Sorry to say it, man.
Why don't you marry him then if you're in love with him?
I'm just saying. I've just gotten to the point. I'm a Viking fan. I have the helmet here, but I am telling you, after year after year after year after year after year of winning, and they never stop. It's like, okay, I guess I do like that because it's like they're the best ever. It's hard not to root for them now.
Well, why play the game if you're not trying to win?
I know. That's what I want.
That's what business is. If we came in here and just were like, second, third place, it's okay.
Exactly.
No, that's you're not going to get anywhere with that attitude.
Exactly. So that's why I admire it, and I've learned to grow to like it. And it's the kind of coach I want. I want the coach that always wins, that makes economical decisions, that is ego-free, that wears cut-off fucking short sleeve sweatshirts that are fucking rigid and beat up.
And his press conferences are hilarious.
I love him. The guy's so he's so
Next question.
Next question.
All right, we're just looking forward to the next game. Next question.
Next game.
Do you have any questions that are of interest to me? If not,
next question.
All right, into press conference.
Done.
Bye.
I love the guy. And then he's putting in 16, 18-hour days. I watched a documentary on him. He literally spends more time at the facility than any players.
He lives it.
He lives there. He lives it.
I mean, he eats it. He craps it. Everything he does day in and day out has to do with the Patriots.
So it's kind of really interesting to me. I think it's a great point. So I love your points there, Dale, and I love how we correlated all that to business. My next favorite athlete, so I'm on to my fourth favorite athlete.
I haven't gone in a while.
Right. Go.
You keep cutting me off.
All right. Who do you got?
Let's match it together. I see you got LeBron over there.
I do have LeBron over here.
I've got Michael Jordan.
All right, we'll go in with Michael.
Okay,
That's gonna be hard. You got Michael and Ali. That's hard to beat.
So I go with Michael. I've been a fan of Michael since back when he was with North Carolina in college. I remember him hitting the game-winning shot in the championship. I've always been a fan of Michael. I loved it that he went to Chicago. I was growing up in Wisconsin. Bucks were okay, but I'd always loved the Bulls and their uniforms and the emblem and everything. So when he went to Chicago, I became a huge fan of watching him there as well. This is where, the guy is a winner.
Period.
When he was losing to Detroit and getting manhandled by Detroit, what did he do? Did he sit there and just take it? No, he bulked up 40 pounds in the offseason. He says, fine, if they're going to bring it to me and knock me down, I'm going to bring it to them. And that next year, they ended up knocking off Detroit because he had the physical prowess to be able to go out there and take it now. The guy is just a go-getter. He will do and sacrifice whatever it has to be sacrificed to get what he's wanting in that, and it proves it with the 2 3-peats and 6 championships. Now, this goes directed towards you, JR.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, LeBron, what is the number one question that everybody wants to ask? It's on ESPN, everywhere else, is who's the GOAT? Who is the greatest of all time, LeBron or Michael? This is my point, and then I'll pass it off to you.
There's really no arguing it right now.
There's 2 different eras of basketball. The workout and the training facilities and the way we eat today and the players eat today is completely different than what it was back when when Jordan was playing ball.
So acknowledge what you're saying. You're saying they're better.
I'm saying the league today is stronger and better.
And bigger and faster.
But this is my point to it. Even with that, LeBron hasn't won 6 defensive titles in a row.
That's what I'm saying.
Michael brought other elements to the game that LeBron has not been able to bring to the game. Now, LeBron is an amazing player, and he's an icon. But this is just my opinion. If
Yeah.
I was starting a franchise with prime Jordan or prime LeBron, I'm taking Jordan.
All right, now it's my turn. So I love that pick, ultimately, because it correlates with my LeBron pick. But ultimately, I agree with you 100%. There's no arguing this right now. Until he wins at least another ring or two, he isn't. But let's lean into the conversation and the debate, because I love debate. I love looking at things. Because listen, debate's great, you guys. Because listen, it forces you to be empathetic and open-minded and look at one side and the other side and start to contradict and think and be comprehensive with my thoughts. So that's why I fucking love debate, because it forces me to grow, because I can look at things from this side, look at it from that side, and then I can deduct my sound reasoning from other people's opinions and my opinion. But right now, what we're talking about is sports and the greatest athletes of all time. And I'm going to correlate this to individual versus team and how it all comes back to no matter how gifted, talented you are, you have to have people around you that are amazing as well. So, like, ultimately, what you talked about with Rodgers is because it's individual versus team achievement. And what we're talking about right now is on an individual level, if we compare the two, I give the edge to LeBron. I think individually, if you go size-wise, LeBron can guard and LeBron can switch to all 5 positions. LeBron can guard from number 1 to number 5. He can guard all 5. So I think LeBron individually, I think LeBron is more gifted. But as a team and as a champion, there's no argument. Michael Jordan is the best still. He has 6 rings, and he's won more than anyone, and he's built people up around you more than anyone. The number one way to determine how great you are is how you build others up. Champions bring others with them,
and make other players better.
Great. That's the number one measure of a great athlete. Is someone that makes people around them better. You improve people. You bring them up with you. It's leadership. That's what we're talking about.
Correct.
People that use, whether it's whatever arena you're in, it's about how, whether if you're in, like Gary Vaynerchuk, he builds people up. He helps bring them up with him. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, whatever you do. Leaders build people up.
Correct. So
what I'm going to lean into is the team versus individual statistic. And, you can't blame, let's just face it. Michael Jordan is better on a team level, but that's because he had Steve. Let's face it. He was playing with good people. He had pieces around him consistently. Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. He had a sound surrounding.
Scottie Pippen, one of the most underrated players ever in the NBA. If Jordan would not have been in the league, Scottie would have possibly been looked at as one of the best in the league at that time.
So that's what I'm saying about is the team. The pieces around Jordan are the ones that made him get those. Whether he says it or not, I don't care. But without those pieces, he doesn't get 6 rings. With the coach, Phil Jackson, he had for a while. He had Steve Kerr shooting around him. He had Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen. Like I said, I just don't think individually he gets those without having those great.
But LeBron hasn't done it either individually.
But LeBron, come on, let's look
Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. Then you go to Cleveland. He's got Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love.
He had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and he won 3 of his rings with them.
Right, but I'm saying he had. It was.
So you just made a great point.
When it comes to basketball, you have to have the 3-headed beast.
So you're making my point, though.
Kevin Durant, Stephon Curry, and Klay Thompson. You look at the teams that win. There's usually a 3-headed beast. Like even when the Timberwolves were good, who did we have? Then we had the big 3. We had Garnett, Sprewell, Cassell.
So that's my point, is no matter how great you are, you look at the greatest athletes that we're talking about, you have to have the right pieces around you to complement you.
Completely agree.
To ever make you reach your full potential. So I could be the greatest talented businessman in the world, but I'm egotistical and don't work well with other people.
Yes.
I'm not going to ever have that great success. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with business and with sports. So that's what I'm talking about. You take away Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen and Steve Kerr and Phil Jackson from Michael, and I don't think he is anywhere near what he was.
Correct.
So that's what I'm talking about on an individual versus team level. And yes, I agree. You can't argue. Michael is currently better. But if you start to look at the individual achievements of LeBron and his capabilities and what he has done, he's won rings with how many different head coaches now? Is it 3 different head coaches? Wait, he won them in Miami, and now he won it in... If he wins another one in LA,
it'll be third.
It'll be the third team with third different head coach, and it'll be 4 rings. And he also beat a team that was the best ever record-wise in the regular season, down 3-1 in the finals.
Again, Draymond Green suspended, but we won't go there.
But that's my point.
But
he's going to get there. If he wins another ring or 2, he's there. He's getting there.
With LeBron, he's already passed Jordan scoring-wise. He's going
to have all the statistics.
There's a possibility that he could catch up to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar by the end of his career and have the all-time scoring.
That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, if he has all the scoring stats, now he's passed him there. You would have to make a rubric for grading. The only other thing that would be left would be championships. But people are always going to be like, oh, that he lost in the finals. You know LeBron's never been favored in the finals?
Well, let me ask you that.
Never been favored in the finals.
Why do you honestly is it okay for us to judge a player just because of how many rings they have and not look at the overall accomplishment of what they've done in their career? I mean, you can say that about Aaron Rodgers all day long. He's only got the one, but yet look at his overall stats and what they are, and what an amazing, the only quarterback ever throughout a career so far to have over 100 quarterback rating. He's got the highest of all time. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have the Super Bowl rings like Brady does, but don't take that away from him. It's a team sport, and he can't go and play on the defensive line or intercept passes.
I agree 100%, which is why I think when you break down these comparisons, you have to do it on the individual level and then a team level. And I think if you create that rubric for grading, you would have both, and then you would add in maybe championships. So you'd grade them individually, grade them on a team level, and then grade them on their stats and championships. And I think they all would be somewhat part of the rubric. But ultimately, yeah, I think LeBron James, if he does end up getting 5 or 6 rings, will definitely
if he does that, then without a doubt, I will rethink and relook at the situation and decide at that time. But right now, it's definitely Michael for me. All right, so let's go ahead.
One.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we're going to end this one on this because I know you and I have already talked about it. We are in absolute love with this individual. He's had some history and some bad things that have happened, but who hasn't in their life? But he's always overcome and seemed to come back from it, and that's my man Tiger Woods.
He is probably my favorite athlete I've ever watched.
He is so exciting to watch. Some of the shots he makes, oh my! That one
and his passion.
That one chip shot he made that went up all the way to the hole, and it just sat on the rim of the cup for like literally 5 seconds and then fell in. Oh man, that was just classic drama right there.
So let's look at the characteristics of Tiger Woods that are so lovable.
Yes.
Passion.
Without a doubt.
Boom, check that out. Passion. Who fucking plays golf and acts like they're in an NFL football game? Tiger Woods.
Especially with that.
I fucking love him. Dude, what? And then the other thing I love about his characteristics, all right, trials and tribulations, you can check that one off.
And he's traditional, classic. He always wears that red shirt in the final round. It's consistent every single time that red shirt gets pulled out.
And then hard work and talent, you can check that off.
Oh, yeah. He's had a broken back. Okay? He's had 3 different swing experts coaches that he's worked with to try to get his swing better to deal with his back and everything like that. And he's adjusted and still went out and won the Masters in 2018. So, I mean,
it covers everything.
He endures,
sacrifices, discipline, works his tail off, is the most talent. So he has all of it come together, and that's why he is, to me, the greatest athlete. He has talent, hard work, discipline, sacrifice, all of these things. And then you start to look at the things with his wife, which is sad and unfortunate. But listen, the thing I love about it is it forces us to look at humans. It summarizes humans.
He's a human.
He's a human. We all make mistakes.
He's not a superhero.
That's
Just because he goes out there and he can play golf better than anyone ever in the history of golf doesn't make him not human.
Everyone talks shit about him because he cheated on his wife. Well, fuck. We all have fuck
that whole domestic issue, and then he got arrested for being passed out in his car on the side of the road down in Florida. And had was under the influence of pills and stuff. Well, this guy. But the thing is he's in pain. He's been dealing with a broken back. There were prescribed medications. He shouldn't have been driving. But he's a human. He's a man, just like anybody else. And he has weaknesses too as well. But boy, he can take those strengths and show how you can be better than your weaknesses.
I agree 100%. And that's what I love about Tiger Woods. He summarizes all this. We all expect other humans to be perfect, and then we're imperfect. So I think every time I bring up Tiger Woods, everyone's like, "Oh, he cheated on his wife." I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I understand.
Who hasn't when in that spot? I mean, look at Bill Clinton. Who hasn't in a spot of being under the microscope as a celebrity that we don't hear every day? Oh, they were caught cheating.
That's what I'm saying. Is we all have shortcomings, defects, and we make mistakes. So anyone to sit there and shine a light on an athlete that made a mistake and cheated on his wife and act like now he's completely forever shunned and he's a bad person because he did that. Like, yes, that's a mistake.
Right.
But look, we all make fucking mistakes.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm a huge fan of Tiger Woods. And I love, most of all, his passion, his sacrifice, his hard work, his discipline. To me, he is the accumulation and example primarily of everything that we have talked about in greatness and discipline and hard work and championship.
And overcoming obstacles. I mean, the guy, a lot of people said he would never come back and be able to win a major.
Never.
That he's done. His career is done. He'll, with the back injuries and all the stuff, you know, off the greens, off the course that he was going through, he will never ever come back and win a major again. And then he's doing it. And I think he still has 2, 3, 4 left in him. So yeah, I give a shout out to Tiger. He is so much fun to watch and an inspiration to me to do what he's done. So that's our all-time
favorite
athletes.
So let's round it out then.
Let's go ahead and round it out. We're sitting at 40 minutes. Went a little long, but it was a good topic.
And we're going to be coming live again here shortly, folks. But ultimately, I think it's a great topic, Del, and I think it's great for us to come together on all these different things. Me and Del, we can share our perspectives, our views, and then I take from him, I learn from him, and I move forward. And I now, after doing this, can be more well-rounded and have a more well-rounded perspective on just everything that we talk about. So I think it's awesome of you to come in and talk about these things and share your perspectives with me. I really appreciate it. It forces me to grow, and I really appreciate this.
Well, thank you for your opinions as well on this stuff. And
now I'm sitting here and I'm able to reflect on this and be like, okay, yeah, in order, no matter how great, no matter how gifted, no matter how talented the individual is, you have to have the right pieces around you. Unless you want to end up being like an Aaron Rodgers or you want to end up being like a LeBron James. In order to be the best, you have to surround yourself with the best. Period.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Aaron and some other athletes that are out there, they're not in control of that. You know, they're counting on trusting other people in the front office and stuff to do that. But if you're like in our situation, we have the power to make those decisions about who we're going to bring in our life and who is going to better us in what we're trying to do and give us more strength and power in what we're trying to do. So, yeah, it's a challenge out to everyone out there in Podcast Nation. Put the people around you that are going to bring out the best in what your abilities are.
100%. And the only way to do that is not to surround yourself with them. And you're not going to surround yourself with champions if you're behaving like an amateur. Let's just face it.
Like someone who says China.
Exactly. So I try and surround myself with people that build me up. Del builds me up. My brother builds me up. Gary Vaynerchuk, you build me up. Thanks, Gary V. Shout out to Gary V. I love you. You guys all help build me up, and it's amazing, and I love it. And then when we share our opinions and perspectives, I start to understand and become more well-rounded, and we start to move forward united, and we start to thrive as a team. But to me, the number one obstacle to all this is ego, where if me and Del had big egos and we're like, up here trying to measure our egos, like we're measuring our wieners.
I'm so much better than you.
I feel like that's the issue in sports and everything is ego. If you remove ego from business and sports and we just work together to win and be the best, I think that's where you'd see a lot more success. And that's, to me, how I want to round it out and be like, that's why the Patriots are so well dealt. So I'll let you finish up and say,
all right. Shout out to Seth Andrews, Matt Dillahunty, Aaron Raw, and of course my man Sam Harris. What amazing man. Shout out to Mason. Thanks for coming on and having a comment this morning. Definitely, if you like the video, if you like our podcast, my podcast, please subscribe at the YouTube channel that I have, The Recovery Atheist. You can also get me at therecoveryatheist@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at the same name. So yeah, get a hold of me. Let me know your thoughts. And I can't wait to see you again. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Del. And I want to say thank you to all you people that tuned in as well. And ultimately, Del has hit it out the park. If you guys want to give us your insight, perspective, or feedback, we would greatly appreciate it. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, we listen to everyone. But ultimately, we want to hear your feedback. We want to have you on. We want to have more dialogue with you and have as much conversation with you as possible. So,
correct. I
love it, Del. I appreciate you being in, and we will be back momentarily.
Peace.
Peace and love.